So I've had a few people ask for further updates on the electroculture experiment I have got running. It's been about 10 days now since I filmed the last one. Unfortunately, we're heading into winter, so our growth of our plants has slowed significantly down. But I'm going to take you out there and show you where we're at with the mustard, growing with the 3 different types of aerials. And then I'm going to show you a few other experiments I've set up, and I plan on keeping you in the loop as to how they go as well. To address a couple of comments on the last video. One, someone said I have no idea what I'm doing, and to be honest, it's a little bit true. When I listen to Yannick Van Doorn's lectures, it all makes complete sense to me, but I struggle to remember all the details because my brain is really busy doing other things. So if you want to check out those videos for yourself, he has just put together like a 7-part series, I think, on sort of the science and his experiments and those sorts of things. So check his YouTube channel out. I'll put a link to it down below. A couple of people mentioned how close together the plants are sown. Now these are a mustard green manure crop, and they are just broadcast scattered. They are a little close together, but to be honest, that's about how closely I sow them for a green manure, and they're not going to get to full size. I plan on terminating them actually quite soon. As soon as the first frost comes, I'll be terminating those and covering them with some compost. Someone else mentioned we should have a control bed, and I've actually got several, and none of them are growing as well as the 3 that have got aerials in them, but yeah, you can see the difference here. This is my control bed, and these are the ones I'm doing the experiments in. Now by far the one that I was most cynical about is the copper just wrapped around a stick. The stick is about 3 foot high, and it seems to be influencing an area of about 3 foot radius, so all the way around it there seems to be a circle where the plants are clearly growing much better. And 10 days on from the first video, this is still the case. They're definitely doing best out of the 3 aerials. This one seems to be doing the best out of all of them. As you can see, these ones are within that 3 foot radius around the pole, and they are significantly bigger than these ones that are a couple of meters away. With this really tall aerial, someone commented saying that the fiber rod, the carbon fiber rod that it's made out of would actually be a really good conductor. And I say yes, but that's if you believe the people that I've bought it from AliExpress, that it's actually carbon fiber. I suspect it's actually just plastic. Anyway, I've used it because it's a cheap, easy way of getting a really tall aerial. The results along here are a little bit more mixed.
Ones here are much bigger next to the wire. Then these ones down here are away from the wire. Get some of these and take them over. So these ones next to the wire, these ones away from the wire. These ones are definitely bigger, but when you compare them to the control bed, they're not much bigger than the control ones.
So you can see where it's nice and close to the wire, it does seem to be doing better. In theory, this should cover a good meter to 3 feet either side of the wire. But this seems to be a bit more localized. I'm not sure if it's because of the way the plants are responding to it, or maybe it's just a bit of a fluke that it's growing better beside the wire and not so good further along. Not sure. And this magnetic one where you've got the wee tube of magnets and you've got a wire stuck through it, and the whole thing's directed towards magnetic north. Because of that, that means that it kind of cuts diagonal across the corner of this bed. You can see it does seem to be having some effect over here, but right at the terminal end, these ones are doing particularly badly, so I'm not sure what's happening with that. And when you compare this growth to the other end of the garden bed, this end certainly does seem to be doing better, but it's not super duper obvious. Now this is my upcoming experiments. I am just waiting for these mustard seeds to actually germinate. The ones that I've done in the tunnel house already have. I'll tell you about those in a second. These ones are, I've got a really tall one just with some plain copper wire wrapped around it. I've got a tall one, I think they're about 1.8 meters, so that's about 6 foot. This one it's the earth wire out of some housing wire that I stripped out, and I've left the casing on it, and it's a wee bit slimmer. And then I've got the same thing but with the red casing, and it's a thicker wire. Those 3, I want to compare those, but also comparing this plain wired 6 foot one. I've then got one half the size, and then I've got one slightly smaller again. I want to see whether the height makes a difference. And then comparing this shorter one, I've got one wrapped anti-clockwise because officially we're in the southern hemisphere, so apparently it's meant to be wrapped anti-clockwise. I don't know, so I'm going to compare these two here. One's anti-clockwise from the top down, the other one is wrapped clockwise from the top down, so I want to compare those. And then inside the tunnel house I've set up these 6 pots. This one is the control. This one is a bamboo stick with just some copper wire wrapped around anti-clockwise looking from the top down. And this is the same but with the copper wire wrapped clockwise from the top down. And these last 3 have got different types of copper coils sitting on the soil. There's a that kind of coil, and this one I've got the opening pointing to magnetic north, and this one I have the opening pointing to magnetic south. And then this one is a different type of coil, this guy here, I can't remember, and so it's just sitting on the soil. And they were actually the very, very first ones to germinate, but as you can see they have all pretty much germinated about the same, so it'll be fascinating to watch their growth. Now these were all planted in the same amount of potting mix, the same amount of seeds, in the same environment, the same amount of water applied. So the only real difference is what aerial's being poked in there. This is going to be a fascinating experiment to follow along, and as I get some more results I will let you know. If you want to check out how I built these original aerials and the first bit of experiment, check out this video here. And if you want to find out about using magnets to get your seeds started faster, check out this one down here. And I hope you found this really helpful, interesting, and I will see you in the next one.